There is a man in a small workshop. He is not scrolling his phone. He is not watching the clock. He is not trying to keep up with the noise of the world. His hands are steady, shaping wood with a chisel, as if nothing else exists. Every movement has weight. Every strike is deliberate. Around him, the air is still, the silence is heavy, and his work speaks louder than any applause ever could. Outside, it is different. Outside, the streets glow with billboards. Notifications scream from 1,000 devices. People run from one distraction to another, chasing the newest product, the latest headline, the next promise of happiness. The noise is endless. It never sleeps. It never stops reminding you that you are behind. But in this room, the world is far away. Here, there is no race. There is no audience. There is no comparison. Just one man, one craft, one rhythm that cannot be rushed. He is not driven by what others expect. He is not motivated by fear of missing out. He is not defined by the shallow victories the world sells every day. And that is why he cannot be broken, because he has something no one can buy, because his reason is not for sale, because his center is his own, and no amount of pressure can take it away. Most men spend their lives searching for comfort. He found purpose. Most men sell their time for applause. He built something that no one can take away. He found a center, and that center holds. The question is simple. What makes a man unbreakable? And how can you find a purpose like this? That is what this story will uncover. In every age, men have asked the same question. What gives a life its weight? Some call it success. Some call it happiness. But Aristotle had another word for it. He called it telos. Not a short goal, not a target you can check off, but the very reason for which a man exists. Most goals can be bought. Most dreams can be sold. A promotion, a house, a number in a bank account. But telos cannot. Telos is not an item on a shelf. It is the axis around which your whole being turns. And when that axis is forged by discipline, by habit, by what the Greeks called arete, a man gains something rare. He becomes resilient in a way that money, applause, or comfort can never provide. He becomes hard to manipulate, hard to bribe, hard to break. The truth is uncomfortable. Modern society does not want you to have a purpose like this. It prefers you restless, always chasing, always buying. A man without a true purpose is easier to control. A man with telos is not. So this story will answer 4 questions. First, what is telos really? Second, why does it make a man unbreakable? Third, how can you begin to find yours? And finally, what is the price you will pay when you live by it? These are not small questions. They cut deeper than career, deeper than success, deeper than comfort. They go to the heart of what it means to be a man who cannot be broken. And to answer them, we have to begin with Aristotle himself. If telos is so powerful, why do so few men live by it? The answer is not mystery, it is design. Step outside your door and you are hit with 1,000 voices, all saying the same thing. You are not enough. You are falling behind. You need this product, this upgrade, this new identity to be complete. The modern marketplace does not just sell goods. It sells you a sense of lack. It convinces you that your purpose can be delivered in a box, wrapped in plastic, ready for 2-day shipping. Then there is the feed, the endless scroll of likes and comments, where a man's worth is measured in numbers on a screen. Purpose is reduced to metrics. Influence becomes the new gospel. You are told that if enough strangers approve, then your life matters. But likes are not a compass. They cannot tell you who you are meant to be. Education adds another layer. From childhood, you are trained for efficiency, not meaning. Memorize the script. Get the grade. Choose the safe career path. Buy the house, pay the mortgage, retire. This is not a path to telos. It is a conveyor belt, and it is designed to keep you moving without ever asking why. So what happens? A man builds his life around borrowed goals. He works harder, earns more, buys bigger, and yet feels emptier. He is restless even when he succeeds, because the telos he was sold was never his. Society prefers it that way. Restlessness fuels consumption. Confusion breeds obedience. A man without a true purpose is a perfect customer and a predictable citizen. But deep down, every man feels the fracture. He feels the gap between what he does and what he is made for. That is why midlife crises are not accidents. That is why achievement so often leads to depression instead of peace. The system can fill your calendar. It can fill your bank account. It cannot fill your soul. And that is why we turn back to Aristotle. Because long before the billboards, long before the algorithms, he saw what modern society tries to hide. He saw that everything has a telos, and that the human telos cannot be sold, bought, or faked. It must be discovered. It must be lived. Aristotle began with a simple observation. Everything in nature has a purpose. The eye is made to see. The seed is made to become a tree. A tool is made to perform its function well. And man, Aristotle argued, is no exception. We are not accidents drifting through the world. We too are built with an end in mind, with a telos. But telos is not a short-term target. It is not a promotion or a trophy or even a lifetime achievement award. Telos is the reason behind every reason. It is the deeper answer to the question, why am I here? For Aristotle, living without telos was like using a knife without an edge. You may cut, but you will never cut well. He paired telos with another word, eudaimonia, often translated as happiness, but Aristotle meant something far greater. Not pleasure, not a passing mood. Eudaimonia meant flourishing, a life lived in alignment with one's true purpose, a life where potential is not wasted, where a man becomes fully what he was meant to be. How is that life achieved? Not by inspiration, not by waiting for motivation, but by arete. Arete meant excellence or virtue. It was the bridge between purpose and reality. Telos is the seed. Arete is the daily cultivation. Without arete, purpose remains an idea. With it, purpose becomes flesh and bone. Aristotle gave examples that were simple but unforgettable. A courageous man is not someone who reads about courage. He is someone who practices it until it becomes second nature. A just man is not one who admires justice from afar, but one who chooses fairness even when it costs him. A skilled craftsman is not born. He is forged by habit, repetition, and failure. From this came a pattern. Telos shows you the direction. Arete gives you the strength to walk it. Together they produce eudaimonia, a state where a man is not tossed by every storm, not broken by every setback, because his life is anchored to something deeper than pleasure or success. This is why Aristotle's insight still cuts through the noise of modern life. When the world tells you that happiness is comfort, or wealth, or the approval of strangers, Aristotle answers with something harder, but infinitely stronger. Happiness is not pleasure. Happiness is becoming who you were meant to be. Think of it this way. Pleasure comes and goes. Comfort can be lost. Status can be taken. But telos, once discovered and lived through arete, cannot be stolen. It is the axis of your being. It is the one possession that remains when everything else is stripped away. And that is why a man with true purpose is unbreakable. His telos gives him direction, his arete gives him power, his eudaimonia gives him peace. He does not need the approval of the crowd because he is aligned with something greater. He does not collapse under pressure because his center holds. But a center does not form by accident. Purpose without discipline is only a dream. That is why Aristotle insisted that arete was not optional. It was the daily work that transformed telos from a word into a way of life. And that is where we turn next. Purpose by itself is fragile. It can stay in your head like a dream you never act on. It can feel inspiring one day and disappear the next. That is why Aristotle insisted on arete, excellence, virtue, the daily habits that turn a man's telos from an idea into unshakable strength. Think of a musician. He may feel called to music. That calling is his telos. But if he never practices, his purpose remains empty. Only when he submits to the grind of hours, scales, repetition, failure, and correction does his telos take on real weight. Or think of a soldier. Courage is not a speech he gives. It is the act of standing firm when fear whispers to run. Purpose without practice is just sentiment. Arete makes it real. Aristotle saw arete as a way of life, not perfection but disciplined repetition. We are what we repeatedly do, he said. Excellence is not an act, it is a habit. That sentence alone is enough to separate the unbreakable from the broken. For a man who wants to live his telos, there are 3 pillars of arete. The first is competence. To be unbreakable, you must know your craft, whatever it is. You must put in the hours, master the tools, earn the right to call yourself skilled. The second is character, integrity in small decisions, the refusal to sell out for short-term gain. The third is constancy, the discipline to return day after day, even when no one is watching, even when no one applauds. These pillars are not theories. They are choices made in the ordinary hours of life. Competence is built by carving out an hour of deep work, shutting out distractions, and facing the resistance that comes with focus. Character is proven when you tell the truth, even when a lie would be easier. Constancy is formed by creating rituals, weekly reviews, monthly commitments, so that your telos is not left to chance. Most men wait for motivation, but the man of arete knows that motivation is unreliable. He builds systems instead. He knows that excellence is born from discipline, not moods. That is why he practices when tired. That is why he keeps his word, even when no one will find out. That is why he chooses discomfort deliberately, because he knows only discomfort can strengthen him. And over time, something happens. The habits accumulate, the character hardens, the competence grows, and the telos that was once fragile becomes unbreakable, not because it is shielded from hardship, but because it has been tested by hardship. So when you see a man who cannot be bribed, cannot be shaken, cannot be bought, it is not because life has been easy for him. It is because he has lived by arete. He has repeated the right actions until they became who he is. His telos is no longer just an idea. It is his nature. The question is, what does such a man look like when tested? What happens when praise, temptation, or crisis come to his door? That is the portrait we need to draw next. So what does a man with true purpose look like? You can recognize him not in speeches, but in how he moves through tests. First, watch him when praise comes. Most men swell under applause. Their ego rises and they start living for the crowd. But the man with telos remains steady. He accepts recognition with calm gratitude, then returns to his work. Praise does not inflate him because his worth is not measured in the opinions of others. His center is deeper than applause. Next, watch him when temptation arrives. A bigger paycheck, a faster route, a shortcut that asks him to bend his principles. Most men would take it. They would trade a piece of their soul for a slice of convenience. But the man with telos knows the difference between price and value. He may walk away from money, from comfort, even from opportunity, because he refuses to compromise the integrity of his path. To him, losing a deal is nothing compared to losing himself. And finally, watch him in crisis. Accusations come, friends leave, the ground shakes beneath his feet. Most men would break. They would lash out, collapse, or abandon their convictions to survive. But the man with telos holds. He does not need to shout to defend himself. He does not scramble for approval. He stays aligned with his purpose, lets truth speak in time, and remains whole even as the storm rages. What is striking is not that he feels nothing. He feels praise, he feels temptation, he feels the sting of loss. But he is not ruled by those feelings. He is ruled by something stronger, something at the core of who he is. That is why he is unbreakable. Not because life spares him, but because telos anchors him. If you meet such a man, you may notice his humility. He does not boast about his purpose. He does not perform his integrity like a show. He simply lives it. His competence is visible in his craft. His character is visible in his choices. His constancy is visible in the way he shows up day after day, whether anyone notices or not. He may lose friends. He may lose comfort, but he does not lose himself. And that, more than wealth or status, is what makes him feared by a society built on conformity. Because when a man cannot be ruled by applause, by greed, or by fear, he becomes someone the system cannot control. The question, of course, is how to become such a man. How does one move from theory to practice, from dream to discipline? That is the roadmap we turn to now. Finding purpose is not about inspiration. It is not about waiting for a spark or a sign. It is about walking a hard road with 4 steps: truth, trial, honor, discipline. Each one strips away illusions until only the real telos remains. The first step is truth. Most men imagine discovery begins with adding something new: a new book, a new podcast, a new technique. But the first task is subtraction. It is naming the lies you have been living by. Ask yourself, what in my life do I do only because others expect it of me? Write it down. 3 things. Maybe it is the job you chose because it looked safe. Maybe it is the house you bought because everyone else did. Maybe it is the way you present yourself online. Discovery starts here in honesty that cuts. A man cannot find his telos until he strips away what never belonged to him. The second step is trial. Telos does not reveal itself in comfort. It shows up when you place your hand in the fire. Choose one hard thing that calls to you, something you are not sure you can succeed at. It might be learning a skill that feels out of reach. It might be building something with your hands. It might be starting a project that could fail. Give it 30 minutes to an hour each day for 3 weeks. The goal is not success. The goal is to see what happens when you are tested. Telos is not found in daydreams. It is found in struggle, in sweat, in the ache of doing. The third step is honor. At some point you will see a direction that feels true. And when you do, you cannot treat it like a hobby. You must stake your name on it. That is what honor means. Make a vow, not a to-do list. Tell a trusted friend or write it, sign it, and lock it away. This is no longer an experiment. It is a path you will walk, even if it costs you money, comfort, or status. The man who will not commit with honor will abandon his purpose at the first obstacle. The man who vows with honor cannot. The fourth step is discipline. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Discipline is where telos becomes flesh. It means carving out an hour each day, at the same time, untouchable by distraction. It means building rituals that carry you when motivation dies. It means choosing routine over impulse, repetition over novelty, consistency over chaos. This is where telos is forged into steel. Walk these 4 steps and something changes. You begin to shed the borrowed lives. You begin to recognize what is truly yours. You begin to feel the quiet power that comes when your actions and your purpose align. It is not glamorous, it is not quick, but it is real, and real is stronger than anything society sells. Truth strips away illusions. Trial tests your desire. Honor locks your path. Discipline makes it permanent. Together they form a road. a road any man can walk, a road that turns a fragile idea into an unbreakable center. But no road is free, and before you take the first step, you must understand the price. That is where we go next. No road worth walking is free. Telos is powerful, but it demands a price, and if no one tells you that price, the first shock will break you. So hear it clearly. To live with true purpose, you will lose. You will be misunderstood. People will call you selfish, arrogant, or unrealistic. They will not understand why you walked away from the script they all agreed to follow. They will say you are reckless. They will whisper that you think you are better than them, and you must learn to stand in that storm without bending. You will lose relationships. Some friends will drift away because they were never bonded to you, only to the version of you that served their needs. When you stop playing that role, they will leave. It will hurt. Loneliness will visit you, and you will question if the path is worth it. You will feel financial strain. The man who lives by telos may pass up promotions, may turn down lucrative deals, may choose integrity over quick profit. For a time, his bank account may be thinner than his peers. He may look like a fool in the short term, but he knows money gained at the cost of purpose is debt, not wealth. And even inside yourself, doubt will attack. Fatigue will whisper that compromise is easier. Your mind will replay the costs, the comfort you gave up, the recognition you lost, the relationships that ended. Living by telos is not a one-time choice. It is a daily battle. But what you gain is greater than what you lose. You gain autonomy because no man owns you. You gain resilience because no crisis can erase your center. You gain meaning, the rarest currency in the modern world. You trade 1,000 shallow comforts for one thing solid and eternal, yourself. This is the paradox. You lose people you thought were yours, and in the process, you gain the only thing that ever was. You, a man aligned with his telos, cannot be bought, cannot be bribed, cannot be broken. And when enough men choose this path, the price does not just reshape their lives. It begins to reshape the system itself. That is the power of purpose lived out loud. That is the danger society fears most, and that is where we go next. One man with telos is powerful, but what happens when there are 100, 1,000, a generation? The effect is not quiet, it is seismic. The first shift is modeling. Spectacle may entertain, but authenticity transforms. When one man stands rooted in his purpose, others notice. They may laugh at him at first, but secretly they feel the pull. His calm exposes their restlessness. His discipline exposes their excuses. He becomes a mirror, and no one escapes the reflection. Then comes contagion. Purpose spreads faster than performance. A man who cannot be bribed shows others that they too can live without chains. A craftsman who devotes his life to excellence inspires others to create, not consume. Soon, the spark becomes a fire. The marketplace feels it next. Demand begins to shift. Men who live by telos do not crave endless junk. They repair what they own. They build. They pay for mastery, not for hype. And as demand changes, supply must follow. Businesses that once thrived on restlessness must adapt to a culture of depth. Local markets grow. Real skills rise in value. Culture bends as well. A society of men with telos begins to honor craft over celebrity, wisdom over noise, substance over spectacle. Justice becomes proportionate because men of purpose cannot be easily bought to serve one side. Even politics shifts. A citizen with telos is hard to manipulate. He is not driven by fear or hunger because his center cannot be purchased. This is why a system built on consumption and control fears men of purpose, because telos is small in one man, but massive in many. One man's refusal may be dismissed. 1,000 refusals shatter the illusion. A culture of telos cannot be ruled by slogans or ads. It cannot be bent by trends or fear. And it all begins with individuals, with you, with the choice to live aligned rather than sold. Telos does not ask for perfection, it asks for truth. And when enough men choose truth, the system itself trembles. That is the hidden power of Aristotle's insight. He was not only describing a philosophy, he was pointing to a revolution that begins in the soul of one man and spreads until empires shake. The question left is simple. Will you take the first step? Will you test the truth for yourself? That is where we end, with a challenge you can begin today. Telos is not a product. It is not a secret hack or a quick fix. It is the spine of your life. When paired with arete, it makes a man unbreakable. That is the hidden truth Aristotle left us. And it is just as urgent now as it was 2,000 years ago. So let's bring this down to earth. If you want to begin, here is a 30-day telos challenge. It is not theory. It is not endless reading. It is action. Week 1, discovery. Spend 10 minutes a day in silence. Write down 3 moments when time disappeared for you, when you were so absorbed you forgot yourself. At the end of the week, look at your list. Those are your first clues. Week 2, trial. Choose one of those clues. Give it 30 minutes each day. No excuses. Build, write, teach, lift, design, whatever it is. Do it even if you fail, especially if you fail, because telos is revealed in the struggle, not in comfort. Week 3, commitment. By now, one direction will stand out. Make a vow, not a wish, not a goal, but a vow. Block time in your calendar. Tell a friend you trust. Treat it as honor, not hobby. Week 4, discipline. Create a ritual. 1 hour each day, untouchable. Make it the anchor of your schedule. No negotiation, no compromise. Let your telos move from idea to practice, from fragile to forged. At the end of 30 days, you will not have mastered your telos, but you will have begun to live it. And that beginning changes everything. Here is your first step. Right after this video ends, sit in silence for 10 minutes. Write down 3 moments when time vanished for you. That is it. Do not wait. Do not overthink. Just start. Post one of those moments in the comments if you dare. Download the worksheet linked below. Share your progress with the hashtag Telos30. The cost will come. You will lose some comfort. You may lose some people, but what you gain is yourself, and no one can take that from you. A man who finds his telos and lives it with arete cannot be broken. He may be misunderstood, resisted, even attacked, but he will stand because he is aligned with the reason he was made. So begin today. 10 minutes, 3 moments, a vow of honor, and the discipline to repeat it. Find your telos, live it, keep it. You cannot be broken.